It's been 4 years since I left my narc of 16 years. Will I ever recover from all the mental abuse he did to me? This question has come in today from my subscriber list. Let me turn off this fan key. You are not Beyonce. What is fundamental, my knee-jerk reaction to your question there is, what have you done to endeavor to heal? What have you actually done to try to heal from your situation? Because, well, look, I can safely assume, correct me, put another question in, go back on. I'll safely assume the fact that it's been 4 years since the relationship broke down and you're asking the question, I'm assuming you've not done the work on yourself, my sister. I'm assuming that maybe you may have tried to do some work on yourself. And this is one of the things that often really gets to people, is you may have had generic therapy, maybe with someone who's not a specialist in narcissistic abuse, who doesn't truly understand the levels and the depths. Because as I always tell my clients, narcissistic abuse is also linked to our childhoods, right? You know, so the inner child, you know, maybe one day I'll open this and I'll have the little one out and ready. So you've got to be mindful about your history, your trauma. And if whatever work you've done on yourself hasn't addressed your childhood, you haven't looked at, you know, what you may, how unconsciously you contributed to the situation, because everything's co-created. And I understand you were abused, but often when we're naive empaths, we don't quite understand how we feed into the abusive relationship. That might be a challenge or make people feel uncomfortable. Often the empathic way, when we don't understand how to protect our empathy, can cause us problems because we overgive, we can overshare, we're incredibly loyal, and we can hang in there even when that isn't coming back. So what I would say to you is, the fact that you're asking if you will ever recover, it suggests that you haven't. And that may well mean it's time for you to do the work on yourself. As you all know, I have my group, Navigate Narcissism Now. We meet every week. It is a community of empathic people who are doing the deep inner work on themselves in order to be able to understand what's happened to them, but also what is still happening to them. Because if you've had a relationship with a narcissistic individual, that's like the cherry on the cake. But often what's happening at other levels in your life, and it may not come up on your radar, is that you may well be giving, not getting back in return. And you'll always know when you've overdone it, because usually when you start to feel frustration, these are important signs. When you feel like, hold on, how come I do X, Y, Z, but nothing comes back to me? These are important signs and may mean it's important for you to start to pull back. Additionally, if you haven't done the work on yourself, you're much more likely to find similar types of people. Other people will be feeding off of you. When I talk about this, I say with my clients in Navigate Narcissism Now, it's like, you know, an animal that's got lots of udders underneath it. I don't know, maybe a cow. It's like you've still got other people that are sucking and draining from you. When you do the work, you begin to see how this happens. And I think one of the things on my personal journey was I began to see how my childhood wounds meant that I was always desperate for love, going above and beyond, always trying to prove my worth to get that external validation. And when you start to truly heal, you begin to stop overgiving and you start to observe. You start to invest in yourself. You say no, and that's very uncomfortable initially, but it's a natural part of the process. So it sounds like, my friend, you may have gone as far by yourself. Maybe you've done reading or you had some therapy. I'm not too sure. But the fact that you're asking the question, when will you heal, suggests that you're not there yet. And like I said, for many empathic people, we still have other people who are feeding off us. Maybe not in the same extreme way, but to lesser degrees that might not necessarily come up on your radar. When you do that work, you start to notice. But you also become much more familiar with yourself. So this is about empaths beginning to understand how much of a desire we have to fix people, to heal people, to be kind to people. That sounds like that's a really beautiful thing. Well, it can be problematic if you're a perpetual fixer. You have to pay attention, because when you're giving out all the love externally, who's feeding back to you? Givers will always need takers. We're not very good at receiving. So pay attention to your relationships. Pay attention to when you want to go above and beyond. Sometimes stop, pull back, notice. Don't always volunteer yourself. These are all small aspects of yourself that you'll begin to notice once you do the work on yourself. But based on what you've said, I believe, and I don't know your situation, I don't know your history. If you want a consultation, no problem. Check the links below. But what I would say to you is, the fact that you're asking the question, it suggests you need more. Because often what happens is, us empaths, we need to start to draw the dots together. There's often a pattern that's gone from childhood right into our adult life that impacts upon us. And if you're blind and not aware about that, then you won't understand how you ended up in that relationship. You see, personally, I'm grateful I went through the situation, because I know if I hadn't, it would have just been somebody else. I was ripe for picking. 20 years on, done the work on myself. It's now what I specialize in as a psychotherapist, because it is very baffling. It's a very baffling situation to be in. Slowly, your relationships become compromised because you're dealing with someone who's all-consuming. The revolution is to take back your power, to invest in yourself, and start your own healing journey. That is the game changer. And that's where you may be one of the privileged few who becomes grateful you went through that situation, because in the present, your life is good and you're content and happy with your life. And I feel privileged to be one of those people that whatever happened yesterday, I learned the lesson. I understood the assignment and I turned within. That took me back to education. That took me to wanting to have a career. I didn't even want a career before. I was happy on the checkouts at IKEA. It really made me want to do the work on myself. And that became the revolution. And now I have a purposeful, meaning career. Why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because something inside you may well want to manifest. You may be in a job situation. You may want more out of life, but you're stuck. One of the things I'm very great at is helping people to discover what is their potential. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? And that you start to work towards that in small increments, small wins. This is where on Navigate Narcissism Now, we ring the victory bell when you make small wins, because small wins become a catalyst for increased wins, and you begin to build momentum, realizing that you have power to change your life, to change your circumstance. So I hope this video is helpful to you. You've asked, you've left your relationship with the narcissist who you were with for 16 years. 16 years is a long time. So that means there's some unpicking to do. We need to look at you. We need to look at what it is about you that held on. No judgment. We only get curious. Judgment shuts people down. We want to get curious about you. Where did you learn to stick and stay in difficult relationships? Somewhere you may well have learned that. And I do talk about that in my book, Why Love Hurts. Not always like, why does love hurt? It's bizarre, right? But that is often, like I said, it links right back down to when we were little children. So we've got to do the inner work. My suggestion to you is get in contact. Let's have a conversation. See what we can do to support you on your journey of growth and change. There is a part of your life that needs you now. You've given 16 years to the narcissist, and it may now be time for you to flip that back to do the work on you. That may well feel uncomfortable. People are not always going to be ringing the victory bell for your victories. Remember, empaths, we're givers, and a lot of people benefit from our overgivingness. So what we do as we begin to really go into our healing is to pull back all that investing in others. And we begin to say yes and walk in the direction of our dreams and ambitions, often our abandoned dreams. And we always start small. What do you need to say yes to? Something small. Maybe that might even be signing up for a call. You just start small. You're giving yourself, you're giving your life a chance. Now, isn't that a beautiful thing? You gave so much to others. Maybe now it's time to do you. I hope this video is of benefit to you. If it is, give your girl a heart, a like, a comment, or something out there. Do take care of you, because if you don't, no one is coming to save you. You must learn to save your precious self. You got dreams, aspirations. There's a whole life out there waiting for you. You have to commit to you. You've given enough to everybody else already. It's your time to shine, my girl. Shine on. Peace.